All right, this lesson is on genetic diseases and the environment. So what do diseases that are connected to your genes and the environment, what do they have in common? All right, so the length and quality of a human life is determined by many factors, including genes, gender, and interaction with the environment. So, of course, your genetics, as you can see in this little pie graph, have a big influence on who you are. It's the reason your hair is the color that it is. It's the reason your eyes are the color that they are, the way your nose is shaped, and things of all things of that sort. However, you are also affected and influenced by your environment. So, faulty genes can result in disease or dysfunction in body parts or systems. Poor environmental conditions such as inadequate nutrition, medical care, housing, and sanitation can also cause disease or premature death. A third factor that influences the length and quality of life is personal health behavior. All of these factors can be characterized as either inherited or acquired traits. So what this means is the environment in which you live in, the choices that you make, whether to eat your broccoli or not, and of course your genes all have an influence on who you are and your health. You have some traits that are inherited, and these are the ones that come from your parents. So an organism's physical features are called traits or characteristics. Inherited traits are determined before birth and cannot be permanently changed. So your eye color, hair color, skin color, whether or not you have freckles, dimples, all of these things are inherited characteristics of humans. These come from your parents. You cannot permanently change them. Some diseases are inherited or at least influenced by the inheritance of certain genes. So here's a picture of one that we've talked about before. Your genes affect whether you have a free earlobe or an attached. And it also mentions that some diseases are inherited. You have things such as sickle cell anemia that can be passed down through your genes. And there's other types of genetic diseases as well. You also have traits that are acquired. Features that a person gets through choices or interactions with the environment are called acquired traits. Scars, tattoos, pierced ears, and dislikes of certain foods are things that are acquired. They are not inherited. So maybe you don't like broccoli. It's not because your body says you don't like broccoli. It's because you just kind of, the environment you grew up in, you just don't like it. Harry Potter did not get his scar from his parents. It was by who? Oh, remember, we can't say his name. But point is, there's some things that you get not from your parents, but they're acquired. The clothing and hairstyle that people choose to wear are also acquired characteristics. In addition, anything that a person has learned is acquired rather than inherited. For example, parents might pass on a love of music to their children, may pass on a love for singing, dancing. However, this is something that the children have learned and not something they inherited at birth. People and some animals acquire behaviors. For example, people can learn to brush their teeth at their meals because it helps prevent tooth decay. Dogs can learn to play fetch. Some animals in changing environments can learn to find new food sources or move to a new location where the food is more plentiful. The ability to acquire or learn behaviors can help determine an organism's likelihood to survive. So, we know humans can inherit traits and animals, but plants inherit traits from their parent plants. Some common inherited characteristics are flower color, flower position, seed color, seed shape, pod color, leaf pattern, and stem length. So, pretty much everything that reproduces is going to inherit traits from the parent. All right, so as inherited traits in plants, animals also inherit traits from their parents. Some common inherited traits or characteristics are fur color, fur length, eye color, height, length of tail, ear shape, and patterns such as spots, stripes, or patches. A horse's color, the color of the mane, the horse's height, are all inherited characteristics. These are features that differ among horses. However, all horses inherit an ability to eat and digest certain foods, such as grass markings from its parents. Animal characteristics such as being overweight or having docked tails, tails that have been cut short, are acquired rather than inherited. So check out this fat cat. This cat wasn't born fat, but because of the environment it was around, it ate all the food and became overweight. It was an acquired trait. Now in the genes you have things called mutations. It's an accidental change in the sequence of an organism's genetic material. It's known as a mutation. Mutations can occur in any cell in an organism's body, but mutations that occur in the sex cells, which is the sperm and the egg, of an organism may be passed on to their offspring. Mutations lead to greater genetic diversity. So sometimes mutations can be helpful, harmful, or they may have no effect on the organism at all. They may change the organism's appearance, physiology, or behavior. So if you look in this picture here, you remember we said that genes code for certain traits that you'll have. So maybe there was a code on the genes of this butterfly for them to be yellow. Well, in the process of reproduction, something didn't copyright. And because it didn't copyright now, the gene said it's going to be yellow, but it's going to have blue dots. And that's what a mutation does. And it happens in humans all the time. When it's coding, it's supposed to replicate, and if it doesn't replicate correctly, there may be a mutation. It may be helpful, but it could be harmful. It may have no effect. You may have a mutation that happened whenever you were born, but it may have had no effect at all. Having a wide variety of traits in a population is known as genetic diversity. It is valuable for a population to have a large genetic diversity. When the environment changes, many individuals may die. But if there is a large genetic variety, then at least some individuals may have the traits that help them survive. So things that help us to have a big genetic diversity is mutations and sexual reproduction. Because remember, asexual reproduction, you get the same genes. But when you have two sex cells coming together to form a different organism, in mutations, you just have all kinds of crazy genes, very diverse.